Welcome to the With Winning in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Heather Sumlin, along with my co-host, Troy Basham, and today we have Nathan Piper with us. Nathan is the winner of the Run for a Million reining competition. He won nearly over $500,000 in his sport, and we're so excited to get to learn more about how he used mental management in his coaching, in his reining, and how he became basically the best in the world doing what he does.
All right, Nathan, we're here, and I want to jump into the biggest thing that I think is exciting about your career is you just basically won the event, like the Super Bowl of your event. And I'm sure most people here have no idea what reining is. They're like, what event? What does he do? But I want to jump into just how big is this event and then digress into explaining it if you can.
You bet. So, yes, sir. We just won the Run for the Million, which is the highest payout, the highest money earning event in reining. And, what a blessing it was. I mean, you get, the payout for the winner's $500,000.
Hold on, say that one more time. How much?
$500,000. So,
That's nice.
that it was awesome, and you get buckles, use of a bloomer trailer, all kinds of a saddle, just all kinds of stuff for making that run, and it was great. We still pinching myself,
And when was this? When does this happen?
This was in August, the middle of August, and it's out in Vegas, and it coincides with Yellowstone, so people are familiar with Yellowstone. The movie, the producer of Yellowstone, he also has The Last Cowboy, and so they follow around the qualifiers for the Run for the Million, and it comes out on that reality show of The Last Cowboy.
So you're a TV star too.
Yeah, a little bit. So the show, I believe it's on CMT. It kind of shows the guys preparing for this huge competition, and then all of us competing for that $1 million purse, and the payout for the winner is $500. So I show a horse named Patriot. He's 7 years old, and I've had him since he was a 2-year-old, and so we have a long history together. And he was phenomenal. He is now the highest money earning horse in the NRHA, which is the National Reining Horse Association. And so at this point, he holds the record for winning the most money at $835,000.
And he's not your horse, though.
That's correct. He's owned by Shannon and Herschel Reed, wonderful, godly people that have been my customers and bought him as a 3-year-old. And he's been a blessing in the show pen.
So you've got people that own the horse. Then you got people like yourself who actually ride the horse. Kind of like NASCAR, huh?
Yeah.
You have the owners of the race car, and you have the
yeah.
driver and the people that work on it. So there's obviously a relationship between the two.
Yep.
But you also have other horses that you ride as well, or not?
You bet. So I have about 35 in training, and so I train horses for futurities, which are the horses that show as 3-year-olds. That's kind of the first year they're into the competition. We have derbies, 4-, 5-, and 6-year-old horses, and so there's good money in the futurity. So the winner of the futurity, which a mentor of mine just won, and he actually broke the record of he has won 7 times, and so he's the all-time winningest futurity winner, and the payout's $350,000 for that. So that's the second highest paying event that we have. And so, I coach. I have youth kids that I help with their horses and have them compete. Non-pros compete. So we train and show and compete at all the different levels.
So you're a busy man.
Yes, sir.
So describe what reining is to someone who has no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't even know if Heather's seen reining. I've actually seen you.
I have totally seen it. I watched his run.
Did you watch him live? I've actually watched him live. It was pretty impressive.
Okay, don't call me out like that.
That's true.
No,
That's true. Y'all came to the ranch.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, no, I did watch him live in person do it, but not when he ran for the million. I thought that's
no. I didn't see the. No, we actually went to the facility, trains, and
I was there.
That's dynamite facility out there that y'all have.
That was a couple years ago. So that's Skyline Ranch. I have relocated since then, but it's a beautiful place and was a great place to work out of. Yeah. So Reining started, where one cowboy said, "Hey, my horse is better than your horse," So
that makes sense.
So there's 15 different patterns that we do, and Reining's, it's famous for the slide and stop. So they run down there, they have sliding plates on their back feet, they put their hind end in the ground, and they pedal with the front end. And that stop is, hey, I need my cow horse to run down there and stop and be able to turn and chase that cow. And so it originated from the cowboy, from the ranching days, and working the cow. There's no cow involved in reining because we call it, in the cow horse, we call the dry work is the reining. So it shows how well a handle we have on our horses and how broke and how great-minded they are and how supple they are. They have the spin, and so like if you roped a calf and that thing's running circles around you, you need your horse to be able to pivot and move around and not get tangled up in the rope. So again, kind of started from that deal, but then, hey, if I lay my neck rein and that horse goes around, how fast can your horse? Just that competition. And so there was a group in the Northeast Ohio area that, back in the 60s and even the 50s and 40s where reining started coming on, and then the Western, the California side kind of had the Spanish style as well, and then they've over the years have merged, and it's worldwide. I mean, I've got friends from Japan, South America, Europe. It's everybody.
Yeah, how do they say reining in England, Heather? How would they do that?
What do you mean?
How would they pronounce it?
You're going to make me do a British accent.
Yeah, I'm going to make her do one.
I don't know for sure, but they would be reining.
Well, I'm gonna
something like that.
I'm gonna do a clinic in February, so I'll
Oh, good.
You gonna be in England?
In England, so I'll come back with how they say it.
All right, good.
Oh, okay.
That'd be awesome.
We're gonna have him back, and he is going to demonstrate.
Well, no, I don't know if I can do that.
So it's literally global.
Yeah, very much global.
So how much because reining is separate from rodeo?
Yes, it is.
Y'all follow the same circles, but you don't compete in the same area.
It's pretty separate. I mean, we are our own. It's the National Reining Horse Association, so it's its own organization, and it does its own. I mean, so it's not. It's pretty different than rodeo.
Okay, so how do people get into reining? Because we also have worked with several people in different rodeo events, which that's exploded over the last 15 years.
Yep, for sure.
Before it was kind of like, if you're not riding a bull, I don't want to watch you. And now it's like barrel races got huge. Roping has gotten, I can't believe team roping has gotten so popular. And of course, over the last decade, knowing you, reining has gotten hugely popular. So what is it that attracts someone to your sport and gets involved? Because you mentioned earlier that you work with some youth and train them. So I'm sure some people are like, okay, I've never heard of this. How do people find out about how they get into it? Do you have is there like a way, or do people just stumble in it?
Yeah, so, I stumbled into it because my sister wanted a pony. My dad's a mechanic. We knew nothing about horses as a kid. And so I think people are looking for things that they can do outside the home as a family. And if someone has that interest in horses or love for horses, it can lead them to the reining. And of course, you can go on, if you Google reining or there's the association, and then there's Find a Pro, so you can go find trainers through the website of the Reining Horse Association. But a lot of my customers, I think they fall in love with the horse first. And then what it sets reining apart is they call it somewhat like Western dressage. And so the control that you and your partner have together to do this is exciting. Like you have this 1,000-pound animal that you can direct, and they willingly guide, and they willingly listen to you. And so that is a rush when y'all are in unison together.
Yeah, unlike your children typically, right?
Speak for yourself.
Well, I am speaking for myself. You work more in unison with the horse than you can with your own kid sometimes.
Well, but true. But see, I think the horse reads your mind, and the kid does not.
Well, I don't know if many people know this, but we grew up on a horse ranch. So we know a little bit about horses, ridden a little bit,
Never
but it's been a
riding
long
at
time.
the speed or the
Nor the
my goodness.
the techno aspect that you do in reining is far beyond anything that we've done.
So cool.
But at least we have an idea of the differences. We grew up where primary quarter horses, Peruvian and Pasofinos.
So how did you wind up getting involved with us? Because you're obviously a mental management client too. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so I had a youth girl that loved horses, and she had trained and with another friend of mine, and then they wanted her to get into reining, so she came and rode with me. And so as you know, I'm coaching her and helping her, and her two brothers they competed in the skeet, and so the dad knew about mental management, I believe the brothers, and he said, I would like you to come down to Dallas and she's going to go through a 2-day seminar, and I'd like for you to come down and be able to coach her and be accountable for her, and if you'd be interested in coming. And I said, yeah, you bet. And I thought, how in the world am I going to sit still for 2 days? I am blessed to be able to be, I ride 15 to 18 horses a day, very active, and so sitting still is a little difficult for me. And I was on the edge of my seat, and I'm soaking this in. I'm like, oh, this is what I need. And so I went right up to Lenny at lunch. It was either lunch break or our first break. And I said, I want to be a student. I don't want to be a coach. I want to be a student. And we just had our second little girl. I have 2 girls, 10 and 8 now, but she was just born. Finances were tight, and but I was all in. So I did I think the premium package where I had the full 2 days, one-on-one, and then phone consultations for a year, and man, it's been a blessing ever since.
And that was going on 10 years almost.
2014.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you later took it one step further because you used a lot of this to teach your clients today. Is that right?
You bet. Yes, I'm getting to the point where if they want to be my client, I want them to read the book and take a journal.
Okay.
You're wasting your time if you don't write a journal and know and understand the practices. Wasting their time and my time.
So so you mentioned right at the gate the first part of the first day, and then you're like, okay, I need dive in more for me rather than just helping somebody. What was the main concept, principle, or thing that you're like, okay, this is kind of what I need to latch onto? What was the one thing that stood out to you that could help you personally in your sport?
Well, when Lenny talked about when you ask somebody that it's how much does the mental game play, and everybody thinks, it plays a lot, and they only really use it 10% of the time, I was like, yeah, I really don't have a mental game. I'm just going out there and doing it, and I had some success. But obviously I wanted to have more success, and how this was a great way that I could have success. And the other thing for me is, not only is it a competition in the arena, but life is a competition. Mm-hmm. And so I need to be better. How can I be better than everybody else? What can I do? And I knew right off the bat, how many people are disciplined enough to write down. So I ride my horses every day, and what I do today, I trained them this way, I did this maneuver, I did this. So I have a list of what I did every day. And in the past, I would be frustrated because, oh man, I used to do that 5 years ago. Why did I quit doing that? I forgot that's a great teaching technique. Well, now I have my journal. And so it would just keep those techniques in. I'm writing them down. And maybe I do the same thing for 2 weeks. I have written it down for 2 weeks, and it just sticks in the head better for the training aspect, the conscious part of the training.
So you actively keep a performance analysis?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, I can, and the equipment log. I can tell you what bit I showed at the Run for the Million. I can tell you the week before the Run for the Million how everything, what I was doing, how I was preparing that horse for that competition.
Which means if you're competing against this guy next year, good luck. Because I bet most people probably don't, like you said, have the discipline to do that. Now, over the last, at least this past year, we've had a lot of people, what's your favorite part or what's the one thing that you would say has helped you the most? It's amazing how many people talk about the performance analysis, but you're talking about a specific part of the performance analysis that most people don't hit on, which is the what I did, what I learned section, and then the equipment log on there. So I don't know if anyone's watching this thinking, but this is what I'm thinking. Do you just use one book and then, or do you use like a book per horse? I mean,
So for my daily stuff, it is one book for everything. So the way I train is, so the maneuvers of circles, which we hadn't talked about, but like in the competition of reining, you run a large fast circle and a small slow. And so that shows the cowboy, again, can chase a cow fast, but has enough instant slowdown to where that horse will go slow and do a small slow. And so I work the same maneuvers. So Monday I work circles, Tuesday I work running stops in the right lead, which, horses have the different leads. And so I'm very, every day is a different exercise or technique, but all the horses get that same technique. Now they're all at different levels, and so for me it is easy to do what I did that day for all the horses, but I might have a horse that maybe I learned something on that horse, and so I'll jot that down too. And then I like to do in the what I did well today, not only for me what I did well, but what that horse did well. Like, wow, this one stood out to me. He was really excellent in his performance today. So, what I learned from the mental management system, a golfer, rifle shooter, they've only got one brain to work with. Mm-hmm. I have to work with that horse, and that horse feels my emotions and feels, my confidence. That horse feels my insecurity. That horse, if horses are fight or flight animals. So if I'm giving a little signal that I'm a little nervous, that horse is like, I don't want to be in this arena. And so through mental management, I've learned that I can control that horse's focus as well. Because it is, you are kind of that one together when you compete.
Makes you wonder, if it's such a mental game, why do so many people ignore it when you have that other partner that feeds off of you? You would think that would just be a given, but it's not. It's just like any other sport. Most people know it's important, but don't do much about it. So what are some of the things that you look forward to next year? We're ending this year. When does the season begin anyway? How does that work?
So you're right. The season kind of starts up. We start up again end of November, December, 1st of December, you're finished, and then you start up in kind of end of January. So we've got a little break here during the holidays.
Yeah, a little break.
A little break.
Yeah.
Like 3 weeks. 3 weeks of break and then you're on.
So
Makes you like football better, right? Because they have a longer break.
Sure. So can we watch reining competitions? I mean, outside of the Run for the Million, which obviously is televised, I would imagine.
Yes.
Is there any other place that we can watch you as you?
Yeah. So like if you Google, Nathan Piper Reining Horses, there's plenty of runs that I've done, lots of YouTube runs, and they do at each competition have live streams. So, people. We're having a competition in Oklahoma City, and like we talked about it being global, our friends in Europe are watching it, South America. I mean,
so
people all over are watching those runs, and are excited about it.
What do you find with your students that they struggle with the most mentally?
Confidence, is the big deal, and just going in there and. Lenny helped me a lot with being outcome focused. Mm-hmm. And of course, I was like, I want to win. And that was getting in my head and getting in the way. You know, and I'll say the mental management system not only helped me in my competition with my horses, but it helped me throughout my life. You know, it helped me with my relationship with the Lord. And it drew me closer to Him because I knew, like Lenny says, you want to be excellent in everything that you do and content in every situation. Well, I was working hard, but I wasn't content in my horse training. When I would go to the competition, it wasn't an enjoyable competition because I was on edge and I was frustrated and I was trying too hard, as we know also from mental management. And so I appreciate not only what it's done in my career here, but my relationship with the Lord, because that contentment, you know, I'm more pleasing to the Lord if I'm content and faithful in my situation. And so it's helped me throughout my life, not just in my sport.
I love that.
So how did you prepare for this event? Because obviously it's different than what you've done before. You've had years of putting middle management in there. And so I'm picturing that's probably more process-oriented in your preparation.
Sure.
But can you give a little bit more specifics of how you prepared without giving away any secrets, if that's possible?
So I had been to the Run for the Million the year before, and felt like it went well. Ended up 7th. Had won a good. I won 40 grand there. So I mean, again, a great.
How far do they pay out?
So they pay. So they have 2 qualifiers. They had over 120 horses qualify, and they take the top 10. Then they had another qualifier where there's probably 75 to 100 horses, and they take the top 5. And there was a tie, so it ended up having 16. And so that $1 million purse goes through that whole 16. So you do get to you've made it to that week in Vegas, and
so qualifying itself is a win.
You're going to win something.
Yes, so you're going to win something after all that hard work of qualifying, and that happened 6 months before or the year before. So you're going in knowing, hey, you're one of the top just to get here, you know, and what a blessing it is to get here. So that first year, you know, I'm was a little apprehensive about the cameras. So I made an appointment and came and talked to y'all. Like, hey, that's a different aspect of it than what I'm used to. And so how do I use the mental management to, you know, to take that pressure and you know, use it in a positive way, use that pressure in a positive way instead of being, you know, too nervous about all the cameras.
Yeah, cameras just make you look more handsome. That's all. That's not the secret.
I mean,
I'm going with that.
Absolutely.
So that helped you, but were you satisfied with your 7th place finish, or did you feel like, well, I could have done better, or no, I did this well, and it's a stepping stone to next year? How did you evaluate that performance?
You know, I was pleased with the performance, you know, and I did think he had a good performance, and I knew I could do better. But that was I mean, at that time it was so difficult. Just being there was awesome, and so yeah, I used that as a win. You know, maybe it wasn't the win, but for me and where I was at, I felt like, you know, that was a win. I came and I went through that process, and it helped me for the next year because I'd already done it, you know, one time. So
preparing this year, you're able to take some of that,
you bet,
incorporate in the weeks, months leading up.
Yes, having a better expectation of what, you know, I kind of have a good expectation of what to expect, so that was helpful.
If you were to give one piece of advice for somebody who's going into a similar competition, what one piece of advice would you give them?
The one piece of going into a competition like that, to me, I mean, for me, the best thing is it's hard to not be outcome focused. But to me, the best part of the mental management system that helped me with just life in general was to not be outcome focused at that time and use those competitions for enjoyment. So now when I go to a show, I enjoy it. Sometimes I don't have the outcome that I would like, but I had a great time being there. I was blessed to be there. I was thanking the Lord I was there. And years past, it was stress, it was frustration, almost whether I did good or not, there was just, that hold on me that kept me from enjoying it. And so, and
It's like a celebration now.
yeah, now it's the pressure's off. It's enjoyable. I love what I do. I feel so blessed. I tell people that it's like I'm on summer vacation year round. I get to ride horses all day. To be able to do that for a living is such a blessing.
Well, now you have the opportunity to repeat.
Lord's willing.
So if you how many people repeat? Probably not.
Yeah, that hadn't happened yet.
First time. It's going to happen.
First time for everything.
Lord's willing.
Yeah.
Lord's
Never
willing.
know.
Repeat's fun. I recommend everyone repeat.
Yeah, win again.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Win again.
That sounds
Why not?
like a good
Winning's
plan.
fun, but winning again is even
Troy,
more
we
fun.
could go to Vegas and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be held in Vegas again.
It is going to be held in Vegas again. Of course, before we get to there, I've got to go back and qualify again. So,
Where's the qualifier going to be for you?
so the qualifier for me is at the Cactus Classic in Phoenix or Scottsdale,
Okay, well, close enough to Vegas.
When
Might
is
as well
that?
be.
and that's in March,
Oh, okay.
middle of March.
So you will basically start preparing for that come January
Mm-hmm.
and build up to that. Same horse?
Same horse.
Yeah, I wouldn't change the horse.
Don't change anything. So how old can a horse be to be competitive in the sport of reining?
The large money is like we talked about the futurities and then the derbies that are 5, 6, and 7. But I mean, horses in their teens have been very successful. I have a buddy in Europe that won a major class over there, and his horse was 12 or 14, and so.
So you and this horse are going to have
Patriot.
a long career together.
And for me, Patriot loves his job, and as long as he loves his job, we'll continue. But, and the good Lord will let us know when he's time to retire. He's also a stallion, so they stand him, and his oldest are weanlings, so he's just kind of getting started with his.
So he's been busy.
Yeah, he's had to work hard, and that's hard on them physically.
Yeah.
And so to be able to kind of work through that as well makes.
So I
it a little
imagine
tougher.
that's an income stream for the owner of the horse
Sure.
as well.
Sure.
And so for them, they can't be more ecstatic to have you on their team.
Oh well, yeah. That I can't be more ecstatic to have them on my team. They're wonderful, wonderful people, and they love the Lord.
So this is awesome. So 2023, we might have to do. Now, where do they compete in Vegas for this? Is it South Point or?
Yep, that's correct. South Point.
I knew that.
See, yes,
very
we go to South Point typically every year because that's where the big archery competition
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they turned that arena into an archery.
Yeah. While we're there, they have a bowling league. And there's
It's
y'all just need a booth full time over there.
Yeah,
I
there we
guess
go.
we just have
All
a
right,
little
Troy.
spot there.
Come on, we could go live in Vegas. Probably not, but
So come August, we need to start paying attention to that and promote that. So if you look at in closing, is there anything else that you have on your mind? I got one thing I want to ask because you mentioned majors, right? How many major? Like I think of majors, I think of golf. They have 4
Yep,
majors or
yep.
tennis. They have more majors. Is it similar to that in reining?
It
We
is,
have.
it is.
Okay, how many do they have, and where are they?
So I would say we have 4 majors. We have the Futurity, which is in Oklahoma City. They have the NRBC, which Patriot and I tied to win that in 19. And it has been in Katy, Texas, but they have relocated that to Tulsa. And then we have the NRHA Derby, which is back in Oklahoma City. And then the Run for the Million in Vegas. Those are the 4 highest paying major.
So basically, we're living in the mecca of reining. This part of the
That
country,
is correct.
the middle part.
That is correct. There's more reining horses and trainers and stuff between Denton and Marietta, Oklahoma, right in there. There's just a huge amount of them. There's a lot of them in Scottsdale, and there's a lot of them, all over. But the main group of them probably are right here.
So no wonder you stay here.
Yep.
You're in a perfect location.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome.
so what I'm excited about is, hold on, you can cut this part. I've been needing to cough this whole time. So what I'm excited about is digging in a little deeper for our Patreon members and finding out how Nathan uses mental management more concretely. So I'm kind of excited to jump on into that. So unless we have one more question, are you good?
I'm good. Let's jump into it.
Jump into it.
Perfect.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Go ahead and like this, subscribe to our channel, and more importantly, become a Patreon member, because we're going to do a deep dive into what does Nathan think about when he's competing. What on earth does he do with this horse to make sure that he reads his mind correctly? You need to join our Patreon so you can learn more.